Dude, you got to understand, I went from having nothing, right? I went through a gap and period of my time where I lost millions of dollars. And then I got into this business and then all of a sudden it just blew up, right? And when it blew up, I wanted to hang on to it for the sake of my children. So I was very stubborn about not scaling, but changing things up because it made me comfortable. But again, you're a fucking nobody if you get comfortable. Comfort is what makes us lazy, and comfort is what defeats us.
Welcome back to Growth Lab Sessions. I'm Joao, CEO of Stealth White Label Marketing, and my mission is simple: to help marketing agencies grow and build sustainable businesses. Today's guest is Moe Makke, founder and CEO of Metric, one of the top digital marketing agencies out there, helping brands scale and dominate online. Moe has been in the trenches, driving businesses to the millions with a focus on performance marketing, SEO, and strategic growth. Moe, welcome to Growth Lab Sessions. Are you ready to take it to the lab?
Dude, I'm ready to rock and roll as always, baby.
Thanks for joining the pod. Let's kick things off asking you about your background.
Yeah. So I started off in accounting in about 2006, 7. I was working with my father as a CPA. I didn't like the accounting game at all. I found out that accounting and numbers made sense to me, and the foundation came from numbers and accounting. But I was great at closing out customers, right? So working with my father, just to give you a little bit of a background, he's an old school accountant. He actually still practices to this day. 75 years old, wakes up every day, puts a suit on, goes to work, still does his thing. When I joined him, he was charging clients about $125, $150 a month to do their payroll, bookkeeping, and end of the year fees to do their taxes, which made sense for him. When I looked at it and started working with my father, I found out quickly that we were saving customers tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars with issues with their sales tax, with their prepaid sales tax, with their income tax. And then I talked to my father and said, hey, like, why are you charging $150 like a flat fee? If you're saving them millions of dollars, why don't you take a percentage? And that's where I've started figuring out to myself, like, hey man, you're good at, public reputation or sales. And he started seeing that as well. So I joined my father's accounting firm, did the whole bookkeeping thing in the beginning, accounting, file taxes. And then once I started communicating with customers and dealing with customers, I saw that, hey, there's an area of growth there. So I started striking deals with the customers behind my father's back and saving them tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands. But when they would cut the check, the first one they cut, I took it to my father. And he was like, what's this? I was like, well, we saved such and such. Dude, I had a whole contract banged out. I had a lawyer look over it. So I made it all kosher, all legal. But I brought it to my father and check was like for $13,000. And it was 10% of what we saved the guy on his prepaid sales tax for his gasoline. So that right then and there sparked something in me. And about 2012, 13, I pivoted, right? I pivoted over. It took 5-6 years of myself to really find myself. It took a long time to find myself. I made a huge transition. And in 2018, brother, I just got into opening up a call center. It wasn't even a marketing company at the time. I opened up a call center. I moved to Florida. I met these 4 kids. And what I mean by 4 kids is 25 years old. And I was working with a hedge fund firm at the time for David Dreamin. These guys walk in and they're investing into his fund. And it's like a $10 million fund. And I'm like, dude, what do you guys do for a living? How can you afford to invest in a $10 million fund at 25 years old? And there was 4 partners. And they're like, we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I go, please explain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're saying, well, we have a call center. We sell a certain product up front. And on the back end, we do 1, 2, 3, which was sell them on an accelerated program. So I walked into David Dreamin, and this is the first job I ever worked for someone besides my father or myself. When I went to Florida, I had a fresh restart and I had to get a job. And I was like, all right, I have an accounting background. Let me work for a hedge fund firm. I got it. These guys walk in. I start talking to them. I talked to the old man, David Dreamin, who's like 86 years old, has 4.6 billion assets under management. I go, David, love you, man, but I got to go to this opportunity. I left the firm, worked for these guys, and within a year, I was their top sales guy. So that's kind of the background, man. Sales is really my background. Sales is just what I eat, sleep, and breathe. And as you know, when I met you in Agency Founders, I was a year and a half to 2 years in building a marketing company around the sales, because I got tired of sending my business out, right? Sending my websites out, sending my PPCs out, sending my metas out, sending websites out. I just got sick of all that. I said, you know what, as a businessman, I need to capitalize on that. So that's where my background comes from, brother. It's just I eat, sleep, and breathe sales, and I figured out why continue to do accounting if you don't like the niche. Yeah, I made a lot of money. I made millions doing accounting because I was a great salesperson. But when I went through, what I went through during that phase, I needed to get away, and I got away for about 6 years to find myself, brother, and, started from scratch, below scratch. I started from like a negative $7.6 million gap. So I went from there, opened up the call center, and the rest is history. So that's where the background comes from, Joao.
Yeah, for sure. And like when you're talking, I can definitely hear an entrepreneur spirit, right? I can definitely hear ways that you're or understand yourself a little bit better and see that you're always thinking of a next move potentially or a new way to make more money, right? How do you, as you think through your day, through your businesses, how do you reflect on these things of like, hold on a second, if I change this, I could be making more money? Is that how your mind works? A quick break in the podcast to tell you about Stealth, my white label marketing agency. If you're an agency owner and feeling stuck in fulfillment, hiring, and team management while trying to scale, this is for you. Stealth helps agency owners like you take fulfillment off your plate so you can focus on growth of your agency, from running ad campaigns and SEO to creating high converting content and managing CRMs. We handle the back end for your clients so you don't have to. Whether you're drowning in client work or struggling to scale your agency, Stealth gives you the support you need to scale without the headache. And if that sounds like a fit, then check out our website link in the description and book a time to speak with a consultant. And now back to the pod.
Absolutely. I think every entrepreneur's mind works like that. But the problem with the majority of entrepreneurs, we're amped up. We're type A personality. We want it now, right? Most of us want to play chess, but our day-to-day operations as a type A personality person, we're playing checkers. And what I mean by that is, if you don't take the time to reflect and actually set up a strategy to get to where you want to get to, you're not playing chess anymore. You're not playing checkers. So what I do that really helps me out, Joao, is yes, I'll come up with an idea or ideas presented to me, and I'll think of 101 different ways of how I can utilize that to my best interest. But that'll pop up, and 15 other things will pop up as well. And now you want to be in these 15 other things. So what I do is I dial it in. I take an hour a day, and I lock myself in one of my offices, which I turn into like a serenity area. And I honestly turn it off for an hour, where I just close my eyes and just let my mind race, let it go in a million different directions. But at the end of that hour, the outcome actually presents itself to a singular solution. So it's like, I want to do, let's say, white labeling, right? I want to buy real estate. I want to get into crypto. I want to invest more in the stock market. I want to buy more whatever the case may be. I want to sell this. I want to do that. Yeah, that's great. You can make money in all of them, but they're half measures or quarter measures. Why not fill up the tank in one area, get that entire thing done, and then move on to the next one? It's very hard for me to do, brother, and I have to catch myself 1,000 times a day to hone it in because of the type of personality I have. It drives me insane knowing that there's another offer out there, another interest out there, another opportunity out there that I could be 10xing or capitalizing on. But here I am starting to leave my cup half empty and go to this other one. So what I mean by that is I have an opportunity, a lottery ticket to cash in with my current business. But if I leave it at a half measure, I'm not capitalizing on it fully. So I'm trying to find ways, and one of the ways that really helps me out is to take an hour and just zen out and reflect.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that, because I've gotten to know you for the past, for this year since we met at the agency founders event. And you're always thinking of new things, right? I think the entrepreneur is always thinking about new things like that, but you actually have a method of coming up with new ideas, which is your serenity area, right? So it's a place where it's chill and I'm assuming you're there without your cell phone, and you're just letting the thoughts come to your head as you get bored. And then everything starts to become so much more clear, right, for your next move. And now, when you're coming up with these new ideas or coming up with these new ways of doing things, scaling your business, or the next move, the next offer that you could be 10xing, as opposed to spending your time grinding something that's not scaling you, how do you, and also balancing the half measures, right, that you'd be leaving behind, how do you prioritize as to whether keep working on something or try something new?
It's a great question. I have two answers for that. One of them is forcefully. I force myself to do it. As a type A personality, as an entrepreneur, as a salesperson, as me, as being Moe, I'm a very emotional person. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So I have to forcefully do it to remind myself who I'm doing this for. So I actually keep a picture of my children on my other computer screen, which is right next to this computer screen. And then every time I want to go right or I want to go left away from the path, I go like this. I take about 10 to 15 seconds. I look at them and I say, no, and let me reroute to the GPS that I'm looking for, right? That's the only way I know how to do it, because prior to children, brother, you know how it is, man. When you're successful, or you think you're successful in your niche and you're making a lot of money, your ego tends to skyrocket, right? That's the area where you have to hone it in. And without your why, like my why are my children, my two daughters. And without a why, you're your own why, and that's not a good enough why. So there's a lot of whys in that right there. But making something more important than yourself, choosing a higher power, and I'm not talking about God, I'm talking about something that you live, eat, breathe for. Like your entire being is dedicated to, it can be anything. For me, it's my children. So using them to re-navigate my ship in the direction that I'm trying to get to is how I'm able to do it. But brother, it is hard. It is so hard to do so because of all the opportunities that present itself. And when you're making money, you have excess cash to dump into all these opportunities. But again, how successful are these opportunities going to be if you don't see them fully through?
Right. How many ventures are you currently tackling right now?
So within the company, outside of the company, or just fully?
Just fully. Like, let's say, the marketing agency is one venture, right?
Yeah.
What else are you doing?
So real estate, crypto, stock market, and then I'm also trying to work with other companies to scale their marketing company and take their offer and use it in my call center. Because don't forget, I have a very, very strong cold calling system. Prior to agency founders and meeting all you guys, I've never networked before. I've never run a Google ad. I've never run a Meta ad. I've never run any social media, nothing. Because my acquisition was so strong based off of the call center software that I created. We were signing up about 600 new acquisitions every 2 weeks, right? So about 1,200 acquisitions a month. So there's no need for advertising and marketing. So it's very hard for me to really see the other aspect of where you guys are at because of how easy it was for me to acquire. So that's what I'm trying to do. That would be like my last venture that I'm doing with other marketing companies, is if your offer is strong enough, we will implement our cold calling software system and call center into your industry for a relationship. So it's, I would say, about 4 or 5 different things that I'm into right now.
Yeah. And when you start these different things, how do you think about creating a team for it? Or are you more of the person driving the venture. What's your strategy around that?
That's a really good question. So the type of person I am, I hate operations and I hate process and procedure. But through my journey, I've learned that there is no 10x or 20x or 100x without a team. You need a powerful team behind you and around you. So my goal is any company or venture that I get into, I hire people that are smarter than me. I hire people that can actually operate and love process and procedure. Because if I'm the smartest person in the room constantly, I'm not going to grow. So I try to find people around me that are smarter, that are already doing being the best, being the Michael Jordan of that niche that I'm trying to get into, and try to acquire them either to work for me or with me.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit to the cold calling experience, right? And that skill that you have. Because I think in my network, you are the number one, agency owner, professional, or entrepreneur that's extremely skilled in cold calling. What does it take to do a great cold call?
So first of all, it's the system and software. I dumped millions of dollars into that system and software that we created. It's a proprietary system that we've created, and it's just a powerful software which works. But again, it's useless if you don't have the correct team together. So building out the software is one thing because it's going to generate the calls you need to do the cold calling, but having a team of people that are seasoned and more importantly, have a script that kills. Our script really answers every rebuttal that you can think of for the product that we are selling. So before we sell something, I'm the one that creates the script, and I make sure I am a scientist in that product before I get over to my sales manager, who then funnels it over to the call center reps. So it's having a powerful system that's going to make it a lot easier to reach out to people and warm the leads as much as possible through the cold calling system, and then having the script and rebuttals handy and trained on with every single rep and testing those people out. So for each one of my reps, if they're not averaging 2 to 3 sales a day through the call center, then they're gone. We do give them a really good time frame to get that good. But in the beginning, it was every 2 weeks. If you're not hitting 2, 3 deals, you were gone. Now it's more so we're investing in the representatives because I don't want high churn. So I'm waiting 2, 3 months. Now, am I losing the first 2, 3 months? Possibly, if they're not hitting the 2 to 3 deals immediately. But the long-term investments there, I've seen in these call center reps, if you give them the proper training and timeline. So that's where the sales guy comes in, and I want to win now, and I gotta make millions now. Comes in, and it's offset by another person and saying, hey, let's actually try to invest in these people and see what it is long term. So I've seen a higher ROI with investing in my representatives and making them feel like they're partners versus just an employee. I don't want people clocking in and clocking out, Joao. I really don't. What I want them to do is really think about having a career here and not a job. I don't want people to look at me as the boss. But unfortunately, when I speak to them, that's why I remove myself from the call center. I don't do anything with it. They're always going to look at me as the boss. So when I say something, it's like, oh, the boss is talking to me. So I try to remove myself from that scenario, but I always have a bird's eye point of view, and I always get reporting and updates at the end of every week because I have a tendency to micromanage, and it's terrible to do so. So making sure they feel like they're partners, making sure they have a career, not a job, and paying out some good percentages. So script, dialing software, system built out by our team, and giving really good commissions on the front end is what drove me to be really successful in the call center game.
Yeah. And so you still have a call center. Okay. How many sales reps do you have in the call center?
So when I met you in Agency Founders in January, I had about 50 reps. The goal was before Agency Founders, and that's funny, I'll talk about Eddie in a second. I consulted with Eddie before Agency Founders, and I was like, listen, dude, I want to get rid of the call center. I'm sick of it. You know, what do I need to do? I didn't even know what a VSL was back then, right? What do I need to do? How do I go about this? And then Eddie just says, dude, are you fucking crazy? He goes, we would kill to have that acquisition. He goes, you don't get rid of the call center, right? What you do is you utilize that and you scale the marketing company to have other funnels, sure, but you leave the call center because we would love to have your acquisition. So what I did was that I didn't shut it down. I took his advice, but I scaled it down when I got back. So when we got back from AF, we fired about 40 agents and left 10 killers on the front end. And now our front end acquisition went down to about, I would say about between 15 to 20 new acquisitions a day is the number that we're currently at right now. So it's still pretty strong. The reason why I did that, Joao, is because I didn't want to continue to operate like that. I had plateaued at the numbers with the call center and then with our Ascension program, right, to our other products. Well, how am I going to scale if all my energy is put into that call center? So I dialed it back. I gave it to Ricky, who's my sales manager, for the call center. Full trust in the guy. He earned it. He's been here with me for 5 years, and the numbers haven't drastically changed. Sure, I was getting double the acquisitions before, but we weren't able to fulfill to the level we wanted to fulfill because the marketing company only had like 40 employees. To fulfill 600 new acquisitions, I'm going to need a staff of about 150 people. So why not do it the smarter way? So that's what I did. I scaled back when I came back from Agency Founders.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about these acquisitions, like what are you selling?
So low ticket offer on the front end. It's SEO on the front end. It's a low ticket offer on the front end. And what we do is we give you a one-time fee to come in. And what we do is we service your SEO from a holistic standpoint. We do a five keyword implementation on your Google Business Profile. We do your CT posting. We do your products post and reviews for 90 days. And then if you want us to continue to handle that, you will then pay us a monthly. So it's a low ticket offer on the front end to bring them in to possibly have them sell them a full stack of SEO, website, PPC, Meta, the whole 9 yards.
And so what's your strategy for upselling these clients?
So what we do is we schedule them on the initial acquisition with a analyst, and the analyst is going to go over a overall audit of how their current optimization, overall visibility is online. He's going to share actual reporting with them, and then when he's done, he's going to pitch them on the service to fulfill that and get that to as close as to 100% visibility organically within their targeted market area. The closest you can get is about 95%. Now, once that's done, then we ascend them into, okay, let's talk about a PPC, right? Let's talk about, you need a website, your website's dog shit. Let's talk about actual SEO that helps out. So that's kind of our upsell program currently. I am working on an offer currently that's going to be my only offer that I'm going to focus on over the next 6 months, and that's the offer from Moe Makke with Search Atlas. We're white labeling it as Alidex, and I've already sold 15 people on it, and we're trying that out, and we've had nothing but positive KPIs with that. That is going to be my next strongest offer that I'm going to be hyper focused on, because everything else is working accordingly. We're hitting our numbers, but now it's time to have that beast out there, and I really believe that Search Atlas and Alidex is going to be the future for my clients.
Yeah. And so essentially you think it's going to be the future for your clients because the fulfillment of Search Atlas is very good. Like it generates very good results for clients in a short amount of time.
So the case studies that I've saw, Joao, is one of the case studies. So we work with personal injury attorneys as well. And as you know, we're not niche down. So we work with personal injury. We work with roofers. We work with home services. We work with all niches because of the acquisition of the call center. We don't discriminate with customers, right? So we've seen it, one of the case studies, and the hardest niche to break into is personal injury. It really is, because it's costly to have an ads campaign running. Minimum, if you're not running $20,000, $30,000 a month for a personal injury attorney, it's useless. So there was a case study out in Las Vegas that was showed to me by Armand, who's Moe Makke's partner, and the lady was spending about I think it was Moe Makke that spoke about it in Agency Founders as well, but Armand touched on it as well. This lady was spending about $100,000 a month on advertisement in Las Vegas, Nevada. Do you understand the competition in Las Vegas? It's crazy. There's 1 billion personal injury attorneys. So she's spending about $100,000 a month, having good ROIs, good KPIs. But then what happened is They implemented this software for her, and within 6 months, they reduced the leverage from $100,000 a month in ad spend to $20,000. So she saved $960,000 a year, and now she's organically ranking in the same top 3 peak position within her targeted market area using this software and implementation. That was the case study that had me sold on search.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We started using Search Atlas internally as well. It's been 2 months, so I'm pretty curious as to the results that we're able to generate using it, because I've also seen the amazing case studies, right, that they've been able to produce. And in the agency space, fulfillment is a pretty hard thing, especially for, local clients that don't have a lot of branding, don't have a lot of, great websites, pictures, all these other assets that make it easy to, run ads for them and drive success. Now, going back a little bit to the cold calling, is that still your main strategy for acquisition? Yeah. Okay. And when you're thinking about cold calling, like what's the volume of cold calls that a rep is making per day?
Oh,
Like,
brother.
I think that's a question that a lot
Yeah.
of, people out there want to know.
Yeah, so I will have anyone beat when it comes to that. So
Okay.
what I mean by that is that our software and system is, let me go back a little bit. Let me explain it to you. So cold calling in itself, let's say you hire 100 agents and they all pick up the phones to call. You're not going to reach the volume of people that we reach. You're just not. So we developed a software and a system that actually calls about 1.2 million people a day per 10 representatives. 1.2 million people a day. But here's the thing. If I was anyone else, I would have been shut down by now. I follow all regulations, all TCP AX. I don't call any cellular phones. That is the problem with people out there, is calling cellular phones. And I only call opt-in people. So I spent millions of dollars on my lead list. That is the difference. I spent millions of dollars on my lead list. Everyone else didn't do that. They're just calling anyone and everyone. That is the difference between me and someone else. I actually spent millions of dollars acquiring these lead lists in order to be able to operate my system. Because if I didn't, and I'm calling people that are not opt-in, I'm calling people that have cellular phones, and I'm not following the guidelines, then this would have never worked out. So that's why I'm so successful in making these calls. But yeah, we call it dials about 1.2 million of our leads a day. And then out of those 1.2 million people, we're going to make about 1,200 connections per 10 reps, which gives you 200 calls per representatives. And the representatives should close out about 3 to 6 deals per 200 calls. Now again, in a different world, if you're reaching out to 200 people cold calling, you're not going to close out 6 deals. You're just not. So the system wins every time. The only reason I am adding all these other funnels to my company is for scale purposes. I want to be a real live marketer, and if I can scale and add these funnels from my company and get the same acquisitions that I'm currently getting, what do you think I'm going to do for my customers? But that was my case study, was my customers, because again, we went the hard route. We went call center and then built out a marketing company around it. Everyone else built a marketing company and then started to focus on, okay, how do I acquire customers from cold calling or sales or reach outs? So dude, and this is where I want to dial it back a little bit and talk about Eddie Malouf here, man. So Eddie really had me enticed, and he said something, and you got to understand, before I joined Agency Founders, I had no time for networking. I never reached out to other agencies, nothing. You could tell by my old social media accounts there was nothing going on. But then I joined Agency Founders, man, and the moment I leveled up, I had neat metric running. I had real revenue, I had momentum, but I had a lot of blind spots. So before joining, I was making money, but I was plateauing, right? Running on brute force, sales grid. I was just forcing my way into the industry. After joining, I saw the machine behind the scale, right? And here's the crazy part. Eddie's 15 years younger than me. and this is a shout out to Eddie for sure, so he should get the props. He's 15 years younger than me, and it's very hard for somebody to impress me. And I can say, looking at that guy, he's a mentor to me for sure. I'm not going to say that my ego is so strong that I'm not going to say another man. That's a perfect guy to have as a mentor. He's a great father. He's a great businessman, and he's a fucking genius. It's hard to find a guy that can nerd out and be a sales guy at the same time. I like people that carry themselves with confidence, and at the same time, like, he comes from the same background that I come from. We're both Lebanese, so there's just a connection there, right? I'll say this with all love and respect.
Yeah, for sure.
He completely changed how I think. He told me straight up, Joao, and it's in the recording. He goes, Mo, if I had your acquisition and my churn rate, I'd be doing $10 million a month. When he said that, bro, that fucking hit my soul, because he wasn't guessing. He knew. He exposed the weak links in my back end: client experience, churn, and fulfillment efficiency. Those are the things that matter when you're trying to hit big numbers. So when he said that, I took it to heart, and that's why I'm building out all these funnels.
Yeah, for sure. No, Eddie is awesome. He's also super cool, right? Like super chill cool guy, smart, like pretty complete package.
4 years ago, he was living in his mother's basement. Think about that.
Yeah, for
Crazy.
Sure. Yeah, I've had a few encounters with him. The first one was 3 years ago. He joined a call in another program that I was in for agency owners, and just like blew everyone out of the water. Like, he knows how to give a great sales presentation.
Does.
Because he's great at sales, but he's also
great at marketing.
Great at marketing, yeah. So he's technical, and he's skilled at selling.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you look at certain people, that's how you get the ultimate package. Are you a good salesperson? Great. Are you a good marketer? Great. But how many people can you find that are great marketers that can nerd out in marketing and be great salespeople? If you could bridge the two together, then you're the ultimate package in this industry.
Yeah, for sure. So, speaking about that specifically, like, if people, look up to Eddie out there, what are the things that you would recommend for people listening in that want to be great at sales and marketing at the same time? Like, what's a path that they should follow?
Understand the product that you're trying to sell, right? I will never speak on a product until I fully understand it. I want to sound like a scientist in my booked calls, right? In my onboardings, in my one-on-ones. I want to sound like an unbelievable expert or scientist when I'm speaking on a product. And that's what it takes to be a combination of a great marketer and a great salesperson. Here's the thing, right? I have no business knowing how to build out a website. I don't come from that background. The reason why I could sell a website efficiently and sell it at the rate that we sell it, because I understand how to build out a full website. I forced myself to actually learn the logistics and the build outs behind it in order to sell the product. The same thing with Google, the same thing with SEO. Like, you could see just from you and I speaking a few months ago, the language behind what I'm saying now is totally different from where it was before, because I forced myself to learn everything that I am selling. So an answer to your question is you have to understand how things work. You have to be able to do it yourself, and only then you're going to be able to sell it. It's going to come as being natural and not forced. Because if somebody's able to ask me a question about a website or pay-per-clicks or Google, I'm going to be able to answer any question because I fully immersed myself in that product before I sold it. So it's product knowledge, brother.
Yeah. No, and that's so true, because we were talking about some high-level stuff, some high-level setup, go high-level, right? Software. Yeah. And you're like, no, I don't want you to just set it up. Like, I want to understand everything and see you setting it up and have my team walk me through it as well. And I want to know the details of it.
Yeah.
So, if you're listening out there, you're an agency owner trying to sell AI, right? Make sure you learn how to build custom workflows using, N8N software and all these things that you're trying to sell. Because clients can tell if you're faking it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I see a lot of agency owners kind of falling short because they jump on calls and they just can't close. Well, that's your sign that you don't have enough product knowledge, and you should learn that before you try to sell. Go ahead.
In addition to that, if you're in this industry and you don't have the product knowledge and you want to become a good salesperson, it's just not going to happen. You have to love what you do. And I swear to God, dude, thank God the chain of events that happened in my life took me away from accounting and set me off to this. I fucking love what I do. Dude, It brings so much joy to me for two reasons. It is going to allow my family to have financial freedom forever, but I never come to work in a fucked up mood. Now, do I become in a shitty mood throughout the day? Yeah, 100%. But that's just me, right? It's my personality. It's I want to win at everything. But it's not because of the job. The job is so amazing, bro. Talking to people, different walks of life, and seeing your customers actually gain additional revenue because of what you're doing for them, that makes me feel great. It's like I'm paying it forward. Yes, you're paying me for my service, but I'm making sure you pay for my service by making the most amount of revenue that you can to pay for my service. It's like a partnership with these customers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the beautiful balance between, when having an agency, when owning an agency, is because we're entrepreneurs. We're here to make money, right? But it's also nice to feel like you're contributing to the world. And so you can combine both of those in owning your own agency. So I really love that. I also vibe with that a lot. And now, you're a master at cold calling. Now, setting up teams, setting up a software, right, that you've created, spent millions of dollars creating it that achieves like crazy volumes. Now, you've also been a master at creating sales scripts and training your reps for being able to tackle those sales calls. But you've also been a master at creating new offers, right? Thinking about new things to sell. Now, when it comes to creating an offer, that's super important to be able to scale services, to sell things, right? It has to be appealing enough for the person, for the buyer, for the lead, for the prospect to be interested and give you that credit card. Now, when you think about creating offers, what are the most important things that you always want to incorporate in them?
Will this offer change the customer's life? Will it add revenue to this customer's life? Will it make his experience a lot easier? Can he get to where he's trying to get to in being his goals a lot quicker if he uses the service that I'm offering him? And if the answer is yes to all of those, then I will sell that offer.
Mm-hmm.
Take Google, for instance, right?
Yeah.
I got into the game at 2018, right? 2019, really, and we scaled through COVID 33% a quarter. Because when the economy's bad, people want to reinvest in their company, and Google's where it was at, right? There was people that wanted to have online visibility, and Google's the largest search engine in the world. So take Google, for instance. You have to understand and believe that being prominent and dominant on Google is going to change your life. Like, you have to understand that. And that's where these sales reps, let's call them sales reps because that's what they are, they're telling the customer everything based off of what they need, their goals, and not their wants. You need to be dominant. Are you a restaurant? Yes. Do you know these competitors? Yes. Why are they ranking before me? Well, I'm going to tell you why. They've taken the time to clean, verify, and more importantly, optimize their visibility on Google. And that's what you have to explain to them. And if you can give a solution to something that's going to be life-changing for the potential customer, then it's a fucking banger offer.
Yeah. Okay. So after you found this banger offer, how do you price it?
That's the problem that I had because I took the template of where I learned this, right? I took their template. The initial offer that I have is priced super duper low. Like, it's very low. Now, if I would have went more of the monthly MRR on my front end offer, I probably quadruple my revenue in the past, 6-7 years. But what I did was I priced it based off of what I know customers would want, and customers don't want to pay monthly retainers on a low ticket offer, even though we want them to, right? But I figured that if I get them in, show them a high return on investment on a very small initial investment, they're going to want to do more business with me. That was my entire mindset. Hey, pay $400 right now, pay $600 right now, pay $700 right now. Let me give you a 10x on what you paid for, and then you're going to be more susceptible and inclined to work with me if I offer you Google Ads, Meta, website, whatever I offer you. That was the whole mindset.
Okay. And then did you ever like try different offers within or different pricing within the same offer?
I did. So I tried anywhere from 3.9 to 6.9 to 9.9. We have something that if you signed up for our initial offer, there's 2 other search engines we'll give you for an additional $400. So that works out. But did I go fully away from it and try to make it a monthly offer? No, I didn't. Because I was under the mindset that that was my only offer at the time. There was no Ascension program. There was no monthly MRRs. So I fully was only bringing in revenue from that offer, and it was working. And the old saying is, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So that's why I stuck to it. But now as I have this Ascension products and these other offers, I'm going to try some sample A/B testing of, all right, why don't we do a monthly MRR right off the rip versus on the upsell? So definitely it's something I want to try, but to answer you, no, I've never done it before. Because again, dude, you got to understand, I went from having nothing, right? I went through a gap and period of my time where I lost millions of dollars. And then I got into this business, and then all of a sudden it just blew up, right? And when it blew up, I wanted to hang on to it for the sake of my children. So I was very stubborn about not scaling, but changing things up because it made me comfortable. But again, you're a fucking nobody if you get comfortable. Comfort is what makes us lazy, and comfort is what defeats us. So I got out of my comfort zone, and I started creating, okay, the CVP program, which is the Complete Visibility Program. Okay, let's build out your website. Acquired a team, built out a team to build out websites. Okay, let's do Google Ads. Hired 5 media buyers, put them in the department. I went from having 1 employee and being myself in 2018 to employing 50 people a couple years later, because I don't want to fucking be comfortable. More importantly, I don't want to be the same. We're put on this earth for you get one shot at this game called life, right? One shot at it. Nobody has died and came back besides Jesus Christ, right? He's the only one that's been resurrected. So I can't tell you that if I die, I can come back and restart this life like it's a fucking video game. I can't, dude. All I know is I want to do the best that I can with the opportunity that I have, man. I have to be the best at what I do for the sake of my family, my children. And most people are going to say, oh, you don't need much to live and you don't need that. Bro, shut the fuck up. Like, for real. Let me be honest with you here, man. People that say that or say money isn't important, they're fucking lying to you. Do you know the reason why? I can't pay the bill, man. I can't pay my utility. I can't pay my car payment. I can't pay my house payment. I can't pay my property taxes. I can't pay my income tax with a smile and a handshake. I gotta pay. So what I want to do is I want to give financial freedom to my family. And everybody in this industry is sitting on a fucking lottery ticket. So how are we going to cash it in? I'm older than you guys, right? I'm 44 years old. The average person in this industry is 25 years old, 24 years old, 28 years old. But here's the thing. I will beat out everybody in this industry by outworking everybody. Not out of sheer talent. It's out of working harder than everyone. My gift is to sell. My gift is to speak to people. My gift is to outwork everyone. It's not being the best I don't want to be the best website developer. That's what my team's there for, right? So why not utilize the gifts that I have and cash in this lottery ticket? So, dude, I need to make sure that I scale to the best of my capacity, because in my mind, I felt what it is to live a sour life. I felt what it is to have millions one day and the next day just be broke and never want to go through that again. And I never want my daughters to ever go through that. So that's why I go so hard, brother.
Yeah, for sure. You have an amazing work ethic. I follow you on Instagram. I see you walking on those treadmills every single morning. And then you put on a fresh outfit, go to work. You have a beautiful background, clothing, cars, family. So you're definitely a role model. And, I love what you do, your message to the world.
Yeah, dude, don't short sell yourself, dude. You're the happy wanderer, dude. You're kicking ass and living it up in Brazil. I always send you messages. I'm like, damn, dude. I wish I could just take my family and go there. So props to you as well by being a young entrepreneur and doing what you're doing and living your life how you want to live it. That's wealth right there, man. So kudos to you.
Hell yeah, thank you so much. I just want to, go back a little bit towards like you're very good and you're very specialized in your set of skills. You're also dynamic, right? You understand how other things work. Now, who has been like one of the best hires like that complemented your skill set?
In my company?
Yeah, in your company, like if you think about you having a great sales skill, like, and what people watching this also think to themselves, like, I'm great at sales. What's your advice for them in terms of creating a team that can scale?
So, dude, you have to find somebody that can offset your personality to make it complete. So if I'm a type A, hyper, go-to, hard closer, you got to find, if we're talking sales, somebody that offsets that, that's more laid back, that's also wolf in sheep's clothing that's going to close. I've hired people, man, and it's always the people that I didn't expect to do well did the best. So the guy that runs my call center, I'll start with him, Ricky. He didn't show up the first day of work. And I had a tendency that I would fire people on the spot. Like the old me in 2018, I went through 90 people churn in the first year of employees that came in and came out through the call center. Yeah, like if you weren't hitting your numbers, you weren't doing your thing, you're out. So something about Ricky, man, like I took a gamble on him, man, and he showed up the next day, and he's been with me 5 years. This guy went from front-end representative. He went into operations. He went to sales management. He went to upsales. And anything that's asked of Ricky, he will do it to a T and make sure it's diligently done. This guy's a fucking amazing acquisition for me because he believes in where we're going and how we're growing. He wants a piece of it. The second acquisition that I had that was tremendous was my upsell representative, Chris. Dude, fucking killer. Killer, bro, right? He is a calm demeanor, but he's a hard closer. And you teach him an offer, he's going to get it done. He doesn't have the know-how of the background of the product, but if you train him well enough, then he will sound like a fucking scientist, explain it fully, and then close people out. He's actually took his numbers from he used to be at like a 30% close a couple months ago. He's like at 55% now. So that's amazing. Yeah. And then I have a whiz operational. She's operations. She's my fixer. She's my process and procedure Paige. She actually is building Go High Level with Hydra. She got 85% of it done. She's a fucking beast, dude. So people that offset your personality for sure, but people that you can see yourself in as well, like looking into a mirror. Chris is like looking into a mirror, and he's a fucking beast. Ricky, complete opposite of me, dude. Quiet kid. Just, don't think anything's coming out of this guy. Killer. And then Paige. Paige is just, how can I explain this? She's a jack of all trades. That's the best way I can put it. She onboards people. She works with the media buyers. She's fucking phenomenal. So, and what I'm doing to help these people out is I just hired a CSM. I hired an executive assistant. And I hired an account manager. And I hired a new media buyer. So those 4 right there. And those guys are just going to go into the entire company and just have a less leverage of depending so heavily on Paige, Ricky, and Chris. I want to make their life easier. So that's why we're building out these systems, processes, and bringing on these acquisitions so we can have them working smarter and just give them a break, dude, because those 3 right there have given their all to this company.
Yeah, for sure. So is there a non-negotiable that you have to take a chance on people?
100%, dude. The non-negotiable is you're gonna have to work and work hard, right? If I tell you that the normal working schedule is 9 to 5, I want the people that are gonna come up and say, "Hey, dude, what else can we do? What do you have for me?" No, I want to stay here. It's always the person that stays the longest and that gets there before me that has my attention. I used to
Yeah.
have a great director of operations, man, and unfortunately we parted ways. But that guy would get there 2 hours before me, and he would look at ways and solutions on how to scale this company. He was really good at what he did. But unfortunately, some things happens, and we had to part ways. Still to this day, brother, like I love the guy, but at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for loyalty. You give me 100%, dude, I will give you 200 fucking percent, because it's hard to buy loyalty, and it's hard to find loyalty. People have to really believe in what you are doing and where you're going, and believe in your vision to have their vision, right? You want it to become synonymous as one. And if you find that person, you want to grab onto them and hold them.
Yeah.
And it's tough working with me. Like the people that work with me, not the entire company, but the three-headed snake. Those guys, when they know me as Moe, they know the Moe, but they know that I got a heart of gold. Like I would give them anything. I would do anything for these three. So that's the balance that I have. Work with people that you want to work with, and work with people that are looking for an end result with your vision.
For sure, 100%. And thank you for sharing that with the audience. Mo, I do want to ask you one last question. This is, not about people, it's about machines. And so, how are you using AI nowadays?
Dude, that's funny you talk about that. So Eddie has a guy named Rex that works with him, and he's really opened up my eyes on the whole AI industry. Dude, we're using AI through multiple variations of this company, like multiple. So let's just talk about my company and AI with this company. We're using it in the website department. We're using it in scheduling. We're using it in, Search Atlas as well. We're trying to figure out ways to cut down the workable hours of the actual human by integrating AI. So we're using it across this entire company, brother. It's just been amazing. Like fucking AI gives you a whole GHL build out, scales it, and makes it better if you integrate it correctly. It's been fucking phenomenal, bro.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now we're going to jump on to rapid fire questions, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Just you're pretty quick on your feet, so this is not going to be a problem for you.
Yeah.
What's the most impactful software or tool that you use to run your agency?
It's the dialing system.
How many niches is your agency involved in?
12.
Ooh. What's your average monthly ad spend for marketing and paid acquisition efforts?
0.
Cold calling.
That's going to change, though. It's going to change.
Can you share one unique tactic that you've used to acquire new clients?
Yeah, man. It's our cold calling system. Like, I know that's just becoming repetitive, but it's our cold calling system.
Yeah, you're the cold calling king.
Dude, I hate that, but I'll take it.
Oh, that's amazing. So if you could automate one part of your business, what would it be?
Damn, that's a pretty good question. If I could automate one part of my business, what would it be? It would be the PPC department, the ads department for sure. If that could be fully automated, life would be a lot easier.
Which marketing trend do you think is overrated?
Damn. Which marketing trend do I think is overrated? I think the info line, dude. I think the info line is very overrated. Like everyone's getting into info. Everyone's a billionaire. Everyone is, hey, join my program, pay this. Like I think it's so fucking overrated. Josh from Hydra posted like a satire video today on Instagram, and it was like making fun of the guy that talks this all masculine and I haven't paid my guy in 3 months and he's a great copywriter and he's writing like Shakespeare now. It's like the info line can be great, but the info line is so saturated right now with just complete bullshit and false way of living that I think it's the most, that trend is gotta go away. I know it makes a lot of the agency owners millions of dollars, but it's so fucking fake, dude. So I think it's just that thing has to go, the info line for sure.
For sure. So this one is obvious, but I do have to ask, if you had to focus on only one marketing channel for growth, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give you the same answer because I'm trying to get away from that. It's just something in my mind tells me that I need to put some, I need to put my eggs in another basket as well. A marketing channel that I would utilize, dude, is, I'm actually in it right now. In the marketing channel, it's a different answer, is networking with other agency owners that are fucking killing the game, dude. Is having a really good relationship or really meet with these guys more consistently because they're all smarter as a collective than being by themselves. So it's marketing with other people, networking with other people in order to learn from them, dude. I've spent about $30,000 to $50,000 right now since I've been back from AF. Systems, processes, acquisitions. I'm really trying to get away from just having one sort of acquisition. So the answer to that, I'm actually doing it, dude. I'm in it right now. It's networking with other people like you, hiring people that are process, procedure, development, build outs, automations. I'm paying to play right now, brother, for sure.
100%. That's the first time somebody has answered that, has answered it this way, and I love it. So this is a hot question. What's your current revenue, and how was your agency initially funded? Just estimates.
No, dude, I don't give a fuck. I'll say it. So last year we ended the year at 3.6 top line with about 50 to 55% profit margins. This year we're looking to outdo that potentially at the end of the year. I would say by an additional $1 million. So we're looking at that 4.6 this year.
Nice.
Yeah. That's where I project it to be over the next 6 months. It might be more, it might be break even, but I know with what we're doing, we might hit close to 5 mil this year.
And the initial funding to, getting started, I mean, that's all your sweat and tears that went into this, right?
Yeah, sweat equity, brother. Sweat equity and any cash that I have. And I'm going to give some props to my wife, brother. She, when I lost everything, dude, and I married my wife, I started from the fucking bottom. We had a baby on the way. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to do what I did in Florida, and I'm going to do it here in Michigan. Bought 20 cubicles, paid for the software to be developed, paid for some leads. The first month, nothing, zero. I looked up to God. I go, God, I have a kid on the way. I'm a hard worker. Do what you want, right? But I'm going to give it my all. I didn't even have a car at that time, dude. So then month number 2, we hit 50K. And then after 50K, we kept scaling. So my wife was a big part of my success. Not just funding financially, but being there for me to believe in me, for sure.
Amazing. It's an amazing story. And
now we're driving Bugattis, baby.
Let's go. And so what's the size of your team? Right
now it's about 50 employees. We just hired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 6 people. So I would say around 56 people.
Cool. And last question, what's your biggest bottleneck today?
Staying the course, man. And so 2 things, right? Operations, for sure. Operations meaning operations and fulfillment. That's my biggest bottleneck because we outdo our resources consistently. So it's constantly trying to have a team that we have to acquire or on standby to add the more clients we add. But staying the course is my other bottleneck, and we talked about earlier, brother. It's looking at my kids, their pictures, and understanding that they're my why. Just making myself focus on it day in and day out, hour in and hour out. Because like I said, dude, right now I could have somebody that's talking about e-com, and oh my God, or they threw a webinar and $700,000 of cash collected. Great. But I'm not doing that. So do I want to leave what I'm doing and go towards that? And that's where those half measures come in. So my biggest bottleneck is operations and fulfillment as we scale. Always having people on standby and a team on standby ready to come in. And that's really hard to do because nobody's just going to sit there and idly wait. So you got to start putting them on payroll while that happens. So that's my biggest bottleneck there. And then staying the course of my objective and getting to the goal.
Amazing. Well, Mo, this has been an incredible conversation. Thank you for sharing all of your insights. And what's one piece of advice that you would give to agency owners trying to scale?
And this is my advice. This is not going to be the same shit that everyone says, dude. I'm all about selling. Sell, 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 and then build along the way. Yes, it's not the ideal way to go, but at least you'll build up revenue and plug the holes along the way. You need cash. You need to pay to play. You can't just do things with a smile and a handshake. So sell, acquire revenue, build out your processes, and fucking scale.
Let's go. And Mo, where can listeners connect with you?
They can connect with me by following Moe Makke on Instagram. My YouTube channel will be dropping soon. And yeah, man, reach out to us at Neat Metric. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Mo, and everyone tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to Growth Lab Sessions so you never miss an episode. And if you found this conversation valuable, leave us a review and follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram for more agency growth strategies. I'll see you on the next one.